Welcome back to the Roundtable on the IH Sports Network, live from the Scott County Schools Technology Center in Helenwood. I'm Ben Garrett alongside Tim Smith, Rick Keaton, and we are joined by two Scott High seniors. It's the senior-laden Scott High team. We get the first two here tonight. We'll hopefully have the next two seniors next week, but we've got Kayleb Woodward, we got Gray Todd. And as I turn this over to Rick, I want to start off by saying, Gray, obviously you're the unquestioned leader of this team. I feel like the vocal leader and also the guy that if Scott High needs 20 points on any given night, you're the guy. You're going to step up and do that. And you've kind of bided your time, by the way, waiting for this opportunity, and you're taking advantage of it. Kayleb, and don't take this the wrong way. It's not that I didn't have confidence in you, but I didn't think that you had it in you. I've told you this already. You're playing the best basketball of your career by far, and you've really stepped up this year. So, and I'm going to come back to Gray after Rick gets done, but what is it about this year? What got you ready for this point to play at the level that you're playing at right now?
It had to just be it's my senior year, you know. I mean, there's no other reason, just go play hard, you know.
I think I'm going to stay on that side of the table over Kayleb. I think one of the things that people who might have watched you play last year compared to this year, the things that they're going to notice, your conditioning much better. You had a body change over this past summer after Coach Aiden came in. Tell me what that has done to enable you to do more and to stay on the basketball court for more minutes.
I'm like gassed the entire time. My body feels a lot better. Like after games, my knees don't kill me as much. I mean, I'm able to play longer minutes and stuff like that. So
it's been a little bit of a challenge, what we call the first half of the year. Limited bench. You go 4 seniors, 2 juniors, no sophomores, and then a couple of freshmen are getting to play. What's it been like, Gray, to finally figure out Coach Aiden's system? How much of that do you feel that you've been able to implement? And is the team, as personnel-wise, finally gelling at this point in the season?
I mean, I think it's always just going to be kind of an adjustment, when you get a new coach. I think it just takes time to get used to it, and I think we're getting there for sure.
The fact that suddenly you're a returning starter from last year. You started most of the games last year, and now everybody around you seems like has been a new starter this year. Let's talk about the other players that's in that starting lineup, and I'll start with 2 and let's let you expand from there. But I talked about Scott Jeffers not being a point guard, scared to death to be a point guard, but I think he's done a commendable job. And then Sky Babb the last 3 or 4 games, I just saw a change in his game. It just elevated and went way up.
Well, I think it's for everybody really, just kind of getting used to new roles, like including me. Even though I did start, it's just a completely different game that I'm playing. Mm-hmm. Everybody's just trying to fit into their new role and just do the best they can at it. And I think everybody's kind of falling into that and starting to do a real good job.
Who's the one starter left out? I mentioned we know Kayleb, and we know that Gray and Scott and Sky. Brady.
Toby
Garrett.
My bad.
I'm sorry, Ben. You're supposed to do me like this right here.
I wasn't going to interrupt you.
Well, suddenly I just went blank because I've not seen basketball in 2 weeks, high school basketball, that is. But the 2 juniors that you've got, of course, one Sky, and the other one is Toby. They're getting the starting roles too. How have they came along and getting all this playing minutes, will that help them for their senior season next year?
I mean, it's honestly like, minutes is really probably the biggest thing because there's so much talent, just even freshman-wise that we have, but it's just the minutes that it really helps you in the future. And I think they're doing really good right now, and then next year I think it's going to help them a lot.
Kayleb, in the first 3 region games, 1 win, 2 losses, and I'm sure you remember those. Having to go through those teams again, what do you feel are our chances against Halls, Clinton, and Anderson County?
I think they're a pretty good chance. We just got to bring intensity every night. I mean, we get in this state of mind where it's like something bad goes wrong and we completely change our state of mind. I mean, like we can't win, but we can,
Well, I think that's evidence. From one game, it's a 35-point game, and the next game you play, suddenly 70 points comes very easy to the team. And is that an overall individual or a team mindset?
I don't think it's an individual or it has to be. I think it'd be a team. I mean, just one thing after another. It just spreads like wildfire, I guess you could say.
Sort of like when the bad rock starts rolling down the hill, it can just pick up a little steam.
That's where we need people, like us upperclassmen to step up and refuse to have that kind of mindset, continue to play hard.
I noticed I said it in our opening, that I thought the teamwork, the camaraderie, the consistency, all those things have improved, Gray. And I know that's something that Coach Yaden has been probably yelling a lot in practice or like that, even though he's been quite well restrained during games this year, surprisingly, and our credit to Coach Yaden. But when you take those things into consideration, what has been the biggest thing over the last few games that you've played that has helped the team, take that next step, win games?
I mean, I don't know. It's really just I don't know. Just playing. We're just playing better. It's just there's not really much to say about it. Just we're playing better.
And everyone finally figured out what their role is. Is that an important factor as we go forward?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's really important for everyone to know their role. I mean, I think we're finally just getting to that right now. It took us a little longer than we'd want to, but
Well, your position on the team, you have to be a mystery inside, which is an inside rebounder, and sometimes trying to get the ball in and working underneath the basket. Then you step outside. I don't have the stat in front of us, but you may have made more three-point shots than anybody on the team this year. Talk about your role and how you get into the flow of a game.
I don't know. I'm just trying to, just make the right plays, shoot open shots, and just do what I need to do,
I do, because I've watched a lot of those games. Kayleb, what can we expect out of the Highlanders to go through the next 12 games to complete the regular season?
Intensity.
Is there any one team that you think we played so bad against in the first half? This is for both of you. Any one team that we played so bad against that you really want to take the chance to play them in the second half of the season?
Halls. For sure, Halls.
And that's a district game, so that's –
Yeah, Halls is probably the worst game we played this season so far, I think, honestly. We just played terrible. Just, need another chance of that, really.
Mm-hmm. And you play them at home, if I'm correct on that. Mm-hmm. So it's a wonderful opportunity. I think the team's been doing well. I think the play and getting the 2 or 3 substitutions in the game that Coach Hayden is getting, I think the team is getting to a point where you have expectations to win every night. I agree with me.
I want to go back to something you said, Kayleb, because I thought you put it very well when you talked about sometimes you guys, the mentality, when something goes wrong, it just kind of snowballs. And I feel like a good example of that is that game against William Blount. You're facing a team that's unbeaten, and you guys came out, and, I mean, you guys were going hard. Had them on the ropes, led after the first quarter, and I think in the final couple of minutes of the second quarter, it was maybe a 1 or 2 possession ball game. Then if people looked at the final score, they would see that you got beat by 35 or whatever it was. They would have never thought that it was a competitive game for one half. Is that an example of what you're talking about, or was that more of an example of you guys just lost your legs in the second half?
That is a very good example, yeah. But there's also many other games like that.
Okay. By the way, I've been accused a time or two of poking the bear, stirring the pot. I can't believe anybody would accuse me of that, but I get accused of that sometimes. But I'm going to ask you, Gray. Your dad, Matt Todd, a good player, good athlete back in the day, and you don't remember that, but I know he's still got VHS tapes around the house, and you've probably watched some of his playing days. You've never watched him play?
Never.
Okay, well, then as a kid growing up playing him in the backyard, the question I'm going to ask you is, are you a better athlete than he was at your age?
I definitely think so. I mean,
let me say this.
I was going to ask you for your take on that.
No, Matt Todd has said that.
Okay. Well, there you go. Can't argue with that.
From what he's told me, he couldn't dunk in high school. I can. Just leave it there.
There you go.
And well, speaking of that, before we let you guys
Let's
go.
not talk about that.
We're not going to talk about dunking, okay? But what we are going to talk about is the fact that you're a post player. Most kids that can dunk are post players. But as Rick has already said, you've got more three-point shots than anybody else on the team this year. I never saw you the last couple of years as being a three-point shooter, an outside threat. Is that kind of the way that your game has evolved just over the past year or so? Or is it just you're finally getting your time to shine?
I mean, it's just I think it's more of now I'm playing kind of a more guard position. I'm out there more,
It's in the context of the offense,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's some of the, you just got to take those shots. You know, if you can't shoot outside shots and you're playing that position, it's just, you know, usually doesn't work.
Okay. And what I like, by the way, Gray Todd never takes a shot that you don't think that in his mind he believes that shot is going in. And that's what you got to have as a shooter. You got to have that confidence. Okay, guys, the first time you played Northview Academy on the road in Sevier County, it wasn't really that close of a game, but that, as Gray reminded me in the break, that was when Kayleb decided to take off a week. He needed a break or whatever. Tomorrow night, you guys get him at full strength. Good luck, and good luck the rest of the season. All right, we're going to take another break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Scott County Director of Schools Bill Hall to talk about middle school football.